All right, Bobby, do our intro.
Every day is something special. Today is a podcast about what today is, a national holiday. I'm Bobby Parker.
And I'm Joey Nickel.
And welcome to our podcast. Today is.
That was the quickest we've gotten the intro in. I think.
Yeah.
That was pretty good.
I've been thinking about that for 15 minutes.
That's all you've been thinking about. Like, how am I going to get this intro in one take? That was good. One take. That was pretty good. I think that's pretty good.
I feel good about it. Thank you for the affirmation.
I'm glad I could oblige. Have you listened to what I've been doing with the intro? I kind of bring in the theme song while you're doing the intro.
I did.
So I don't know I feel like that sounds good. I like it.
I am a fan of it.
So we'll see. Again, let us know if you have any opinions at all, because nobody has yet. So.
Right. Yeah. So my problem with it is me talking.
Yes.
So I mean, I don't think the good recommendation.
I think that's the biggest problem of the bigger problem of the whole podcast is, I do hate listening to myself talk. I hate it a lot, but I've grown to accept it because I want to listen to the podcast to know how to do better.
Right.
Like I forced myself to listen to the podcast every week. So one of those downloads is me. So that's we get one extra download a week because I listen to it, and the kids like listening to it. Yeah. Right? You guys like listening to the podcast. We do have a family-friendly podcast. If you want to listen with your kids, we can't guarantee they'll like it. We can guarantee that we won't say anything you don't want your kids to hear. Well, I don't even want to say that. I'm not going to guarantee that.
No, but if it is anything like my family, my kids won't like it, but other kids will.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
For whatever reason, my kids don't like to listen to me, but other kids enjoy me.
Let's do a little podcast talk real quick.
Okay, yeah.
We have listeners, or at least we have had a listener in 3 different countries now.
3 different
besides our own.
We're international.
Yeah,
we
are international. So we have the United States, obviously, and then we have somebody in the UK has listened.
Okay.
In Kent, shout out Kent, England, I think.
Yes.
I don't know how the government works over there. I don't know. There's like 6 countries in that one country over there.
Right. And all of them play soccer.
Yeah, against each other. I don't understand it. And they're all separate in the Olympics somehow. Some of them. Right. I don't know.
Or together sometimes.
Yeah, or together sometimes. Depends.
Yeah.
So we have that. Is it recording, Packer? Yeah. Okay. We have that. We have somebody in Australia has listened.
We've got an Australian listener.
Yeah, we've got an Aussie and someone in Japan.
Wow.
Yeah, someone in Japan is listening or has listened. I don't know if they've listened to. They've at least downloaded one of our episodes. Somebody in Japan.
I would prefer they listen, but I mean, if they're downloading, that's good.
I have no idea if they're listening or not. If you're listening now, shout out to Japan. Hey, send us an email, comment on our podcast if you're still listening in Japan or Australia or England or in the United States. Anybody out there, comment at all on the podcast.
If you are one of our international listeners or a listener in general, really at this point, anybody that wants to contact us, we do accept snacks.
That is true. Bobby, not so much after next week.
No, If I am having surgery next week, so it is the bariatric, the weight loss surgery.
Yeah. So update on that. Your surgery date is the 27th.
The day before Thanksgiving.
Day before Thanksgiving.
The day before Thanksgiving.
Why?
Yeah. Well,
that sounds like a bit. Like I'm having weight loss surgery. I'm having bariatric surgery the day before Thanksgiving.
Yes. Well, so here's the thing. It stinks. I've already had a week-long liquid diet.
They have you like lose a bunch of weight right before the surgery, right?
Yep. Yeah. So I'm a week into a liquid diet.
That sounds terrible.
It's not my favorite, but Yeah,
Liquid,
I'm
like,
getting the
so
point.
can you drink like protein shakes?
Yes.
Okay, that's not so bad.
Yeah.
I could survive on. I've done that before. Like when I'm trying to drop weight real quick
Right.
for a wrestling match. I'm just kidding. I've never. When was the last time I had a Last time I had a wrestling match was in 7th grade. So that's the last time I wrestled.
Well, so when I wrestled in high school, I was a heavyweight.
Yeah.
But the weight class
Really?
The weight class went from 190 to 275.
Oh, that's a big weight class.
I-
That's almost 100 pounds.
Yeah.
That's almost an entire person.
Yes, I weighed right in the 200 the 215 area.
That's crazy.
Right,
That's
so-
a huge weight class.
So I wrestled kids who were going to major colleges on athletic scholarships
Yeah.
that weighed 275 pounds, who were cutting fat just so they could be jacked
Just so they
on
could-
muscle
yeah.
to rip my face off.
That's insane.
Yeah. And
Was
then
that the heaviest weight class?
that was the heaviest weight class.
See, I went to middle school in Iowa, which Iowa is
huge
huge
wrestling,
wrestling
yes. Yep.
state. Like everybody wrestled in Iowa.
Yeah.
That's why I wrestled in 7th grade. And then, like everybody wrestled. I learned some of the basics then, and then I didn't and then for high school we moved to Arkansas, and my school did not have a wrestling team. There's only like a few bigger schools that had wrestling teams.
Right.
So then I transitioned into wrestling.
Wrestling.
And I don't know if you're familiar with wrestling as opposed to wrestling. Wrestling happens in the locker room during football off season, and you it's basically WWE wrestling. Or back then, I think it was still WWF.
Yes,
Before they
at that
decided
point
they
it
liked
was.
animals.
Yep.
So we're doing WWF style, like jumping off of the benches onto. We had put down mats at least,
Right.
And we're like jumping off of benches and stuff. I actually won quite a few wrestling matches. I've never won a wrestling tournament or a match, but I've won quite a few wrestling matches, mainly because I was very hairy and people didn't like that. We would wrestle with. When you wrestle with your shirts off.
Yes. Yeah.
And when you wrestle, you wear one of those
Singlet.
singlets. Yeah, that's right.
Or tights, as my wife would like to call it.
You wear tights, but when you wrestle, you wear athletic shorts and no shirts.
Yeah, that tracks.
Yeah.
I've had both wrestling and wrestling matches.
All right. Let's finish our update from last week that we never finished about the competition.
Oh yeah.
So we were talking about the Savannah Comedy Review. It's a very long. It's like I always just call it the Savannah Comedy Competition.
Right. Yep.
But it's like this official title is like the Savannah Comedy Review Comics Battle.
Comics battle competition. Something
Like that.
Yeah.
But I don't remember what we talked about last time, but you did win the Audience Choice Award. Did we talk about that? I can't remember.
I think Marcus got here like right when we were talking about it, and we got sidetracked, which was fine because I loved that conversation. But I think I'd mentioned that I thought that you got robbed.
Yes. Now, what they told me, and I don't know. It was all happening quickly, and we all had to leave because we had to get out of there because there was a drag show happening.
Yes.
Right after our show, so it was a hard out. We had to get out of there, and what they told me was there was a 3-way tie for second place.
Right.
And I think the tiebreaker was like, I don't know exactly what the tiebreaker was, but I don't know if I've won it before. I've gotten second place twice, and I think they're just like, I don't think this guy needs to win again. So that's what I tell myself, is that the tiebreaker was I've already won.
Right.
So.
I think they officially had it down to where you went a little bit long, but it seemed like it was within...
I did not break the length. The length they said was 5:30, and I went 5:24.
Right.
Which should be under the disqualification mark, but they did need they wanted some sort of tiebreaker. A tie for second place is worse than a tie for first place, because a 3-way tie for first place, you just, in my opinion, you just call everybody the champion and then split up the money evenly.
Yes. Yep.
But since it was a 3-way tie for second place and there's only 3 spots, they had to let somebody down. They had to put somebody off of that 3-way. Now, I understand if my tiebreaker was I did go over but not by penalty,
Right.
then I could see that as being the tiebreaker. Like I went over by 5. I went over the 5-minute mark, but not by penalty. Now, to be fair, I did not care if I won. I mean, I know that sounds, that's like the cop-out answer, but I actually didn't care. I just wanted to work on that set. I wanted to get a good recording, and that's what I accomplished what I wanted to accomplish with that.
Right. So one of the beautiful things about this competition is they record you. You have a wonderfully professionally produced 5-minute set that you can use over the next year. So I think that you found like the great cheat code here. You're basically paying what's like $25-$30 to join the competition.
Yeah, you pay to join the competition, and it's not that much, and then you get a professional recording out of it.
Yeah.
And the show's always sold out. Like it's always a huge crowd, and it's not only always sold out. It's always a good crowd. Like they're very generous crowd, and they're gonna laugh at everything. I recorded my album there last year, because I knew that particular crowd, that the people that go to that show are very good, a very good crowd, and we were all excited that you won the Audience Choice Award.
I won Audience Choice. I'm thrilled about it. I also am not as concerned about winning. I would love to win. Being number one is great, but it's a subjective thing. I completely understand it, knowing that I performed well.
And I like that. And I said this to you earlier. If you're not going to win, be the champion. I think the next best award is to get the Audience Choice Award, because it sounds dumb to say you're the runner-up, or it sounds dumb to say third place, or whatever. But to say Audience Choice Award, I mean, that sounds awesome to have that on the resume, to say Audience Choice Award of the Savannah Comedy Competition 2024.
Yeah.
Sounds awesome.
I love it. I'm not going to lie. I've bragged about it all
Yeah,
already.
Of course. That's great. And the Audience Choice Award is because it is different than the other ones. So you have the judges, and then that's who decides first, second, and third. Then the Audience Choice Award is just voted on by the audience. And what was great about that, it was a clear, everyone was clearly you. Like, we went through the whole line, and in those clap to see or cheer for your guy, I always hate those because it's like sometimes you can't tell one from another or whatever.
Right.
It was clearly you. Like, everybody, as soon as they cheered for you, were like, oh, well, Bobby won. Like, Bobby for sure won. There was no question that you were the winner.
Thank you. It is nice to hear it. It was always nice that the audience embraces you. Yeah, and I 100% agree. I'm there to make the audience laugh. I want the judges to like me.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, you want the judges to like you, but yeah, you're there for the audience.
Yep.
Packer, did you have your hand raised? Why did you raise your hand?
I have a question.
What's your question, Packer? No, stay inside for now, okay? Wait until we're done recording, and then maybe you can. What? I don't even know the status of outside right now. I'm not concerned about it raining. I'm concerned that we have not done anything to the backyard in like 6 months. So it's very overgrown in the backyard. All right. Everything is green out there right now. The vines have overgrown our play place. Yeah. All right. Don't go out there right now, Packer. Yeah. Yeah, I don't think you can go on the monkey bars right now. Okay? All right. What else? Oh, yeah. Okay. By the time this comes out, what day? What day are we working on? I'm trying to remember if this will come out before our show or after our show. So
that's a great question because I do not know what day we're doing yet. So,
okay. So if you're listening to this in the morning, today is November 22nd. If you're listening to this in the morning, come to Fleming Island tonight at Barley and Pie. Come to Fleming Island. Bobby and I will be performing there with Nick Harvey. Nick Harvey's a great comic. He has a dry bar special. He's very funny.
Great guy.
Come check it out. The venue promotes this as an adult show, but the three of us are very clean. Yep. So if you wanted to bring your kids, you could. We won't kick them out, but don't make that a habit because this place does do it. They want it to be an adult show. So this one happens to be clean, so if you wanted to bring your kids, it's not a big deal. But it's a great show. It's a great venue. The food is amazing there. It's a scratch kitchen, which means they make their own. They don't. It's not like frozen foods that they reheat.
Yep.
Like they're making stuff fresh. They have cheese curds. They have pizza. Really good stuff. So come out this Friday. So today, come out tonight, November 22nd. Show starts at 9 p.m.
Do you know what the tough thing is going to be? They've got risotto bites.
Risotto bites.
I'm pretty sure that's what
And you're on a liquid diet.
I've had there before, and they're fantastic.
Really? Okay.
So
I gotta try that.
I'm going to be there watching my wife enjoy food and making people laugh, and then storming out.
Yeah,
at the end because I want
They do have a craft diet soda there.
Ooh.
So I don't know if you're drinking diet sodas right now.
Yeah, no.
No.
I've had to pretty much give up carbonation.
Do you have to give up carbonation for the surgery?
Yeah,
that stinks.
I mean, some people can have it after. I haven't been.
Well, if you did, you'd have to wait a while anyway, because
Right.
you like just to let your stomach settle down and heal, right?
Yep.
To even consider that. Well, how long is the recovery process for your surgery?
Oh, well, great question. I will be in the hospital one night unless something goes terribly wrong, and then it's just slowly getting back to it. I think I'll be able to have solid food by the end of the year.
Okay, that's not too bad. So like a month or two.
Yeah.
About a month then. All right.
About a month, just very small amounts.
Well, you'll get to witness it here. We'll get to witness Bobby shrink away into nothing.
Yeah.
Into half the man he used to be, literally. All right. So we talked about our international listeners. So like I said, Packer, don't play with that right now. So we talked about our international listeners. So we have listeners in the United States, obviously. We have listeners in Japan. We have listeners or a listener in Australia. A listener in Kent, United Kingdom. I don't know if Kent is the city in England. I don't know. It just said Kent, UK on the stats.
That seems like a city to me.
Seems like a city in England or an area in England.
Right.
Let us know if we should understand what that means. Maybe they have things like counties there or something. I don't know.
They definitely have counties, because I know in Ireland it's County Cork, where a friend of mine lives now. So
all I know is that I think the longest in England, just in England, the longest drive you can make in England is from the longest straight drive you can make is from Berwick-upon-Tweed to Penzance. That's all I know about England geography.
I'm flabbergasted. I did not know that those were words. So
So there you go. Here's something I don't understand about England. I looked it up, and there are something like 40 dialects in the country of England. How is that possible? How are there so many? And it's not even the number that gets me. It's when I watch a show on BBC and somebody's like, don't mess with that guy. He's from this square block in London. They can tell. Now, maybe if we lived in a big city like New York, we could tell too. I guess you could probably tell the difference between Brooklyn and Queens.
Probably.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But it just seems like every time I'm watching a show about inner city people in London, they're always like, oh, we know about that guy. He don't speak. I'm not going to do it. I was going to try a British accent for about 2 seconds there. That didn't work. But they're like, we don't like this guy because he lives in this 1 block radius, and we can tell by the way he says his D's. And it's I don't. How is that?
I don't get it. And there's certain Cockney accents, which is a thing there.
Right. Then there's class system accents too, which I guess we have that here too. It's the more educated you are, it seems like the more general American you speak, I guess.
Right.
I mean, don't get me wrong. We have accents here in the United States.
We've got plenty.
But we're talking maybe when I looked it up, it was, and I'm not talking about people who didn't grow up speaking English. I'm talking about people who are native English speakers. There's about 20 to 25 in the United States total. And we're talking, I mean, that's massively bigger than England. Like I said, the longest distance you can drive in England is Berwick-upon-Tweed to Penzance. That's about the distance from Yulee, Florida to Key West, Florida.
Holy
so
moly.
imagine staying in the state of Florida and then having 40 different ways to speak English. And they have different words, they have different slang, which I understand that too, but we're talking maybe 2 or 3 in that distance in Florida.
Right.
Maybe. And then maybe you go to the Panhandle of Florida, you're going to get some Alabama in there and stuff like that. And Panhandle has their own accent, I understand that. But we're talking about hugely different land masses, and that's insane to me that like very, very specific areas in England have their own accents.
Right. It's like the like Liverpool. Like, hey, people from Liverpool say this word a very specific way, or like these people throw like a weird K sound at the end of Like I'm
just
thinking,
drive an hour, and then it's like you drive an hour, and it's another language, and you're like, how did this? I did not drive that far.
No, it's like finding an enclave of like a completely different group of people.
Now, I'm not complaining or dogging on England or anything like that. I'm just fascinated by the fact that there are so many dialects. And I guess that's because, part of that's probably because England spread out so much during the Empire days, like during the Kingdom days. And they, we can attribute a lot of colonization to England, so maybe that's why the accents are so different.
I think it's actually more a function of everything being so logistically together. Like each town had everything it needed.
I see what you're saying.
And
so
then,
there was an ecosystem there, and then you'd go to another town, but it was a separate ecosystem. Yeah, I guess that's true.
You come to the United States, and everything is spread out, and we had to solve the problem of moving from getting products.
I guess
here
that's
to there.
true. I guess that's probably true. It's just fascinating to me. There can be so many. I'm always like, it just gets me sometimes when I'm watching a show, and then some guy's like, yeah, that guy, I don't like him because he's from 5 blocks away from where I grew up, and I can tell by the way he talks. Yeah. Like that's crazy to me. But anyway, the reason why I bring that up is because today's topic is let's see what today is. It always takes longer than we think.
Right.
One of these days we're going to Start your own country day. Today is Start Your Own Country Day. Today is today is intended to be a creative day. You're supposed to use your creative brain to think of what you might do in your own country, how you might form it, where it might be.
I like that.
We have an expert guest to be on the podcast today. He is an expert on starting countries.
Fantastic.
He has studied for 16 years in the University of our house. Everybody, welcome to the podcast, Danny Nickel. We're going to call you Danny Nickel? Okay, Danny Nickel. Here's your microphone.
Hello.
Hello.
All right, hold this microphone. Make sure you keep it pretty close to your face.
It is time for us to start our own country.
Yeah, we're going to start our own country. Danny, if you were to start your own country, what would you call it? All right, maybe we'll start with Bobby. Bobby, what would you name your country?
Oh, so this is a great question. I would almost 100% play into my ego and
Bobby Land, something like that.
Bobalopia.
That's awesome. Bobalopia. When I was young, like when I was like in middle school, me and my best friend, we decided we were going to start a country called Alanius. Yeah, and then every year we would have a miscellaneous pageant.
Nice.
So, and we even came up with our own flag for Alanius and symbol, and we used to print it and put it on stuff. And we'd say, this is property of the government of Alanius and stuff like that. Like we really got into it.
Nice.
Yeah.
I like it.
And we would like pretend that we were foreign exchange students from Alanius. We would tell people we had just moved here from Alanius. We did not have a lot of friends. We were dorks. Luckily, that is all behind me. Luckily,
Thank God.
Is it though?
Luckily, I'm so cool now. Like, I'm not doing ridiculous things like that anymore, or playing into fantasies or fictional things anymore.
Frankly, though, as an adult, you are a cool guy. You're married with kids, and we have a podcast. I think that defines cool.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. All right, Daniel. So, what would you name your country?
Croblob.
Croblob?
Croblob.
What would your main export be? So
What does that mean?
So, like, what would you offer the world? What would you? So, like, okay, for instance, Florida has a lot of seafood, so we give a lot of seafood to the rest of the world. What would you offer? Bobby, what would What was it?
Bobolopia.
Bob Lover.
Bobolopia.
Shout out to Bob Lover, the comedian, based out of Jacksonville.
And he's a hypnotist as well.
And he's a hypnotist. Yeah, he's a comedian and comedic hypnotist.
Yeah.
It was Bobolopia.
Bobolopia. What would your
Bobolopia.
main export be in Bobolopia?
Well, great question. It would really be determined about our geography, but if it's just based upon where I currently live, which is Florida, I would have to say our main export would most likely be some kind of citrus.
Like what? Like some sort of orange or lemon or something like that?
Orange, lemon, lime. I'm a
Wait,
huge
so are
lime
you
guy.
planning on making
Bobolopia?
Bobolopia. I keep wanting to say Bobolopolis.
Bobolopolis is probably the capital.
Yeah. Oh, I see. Yeah, there. That's the capital city. Yeah. Bobolopia. So what? You're saying it's going to be in Florida?
Well,
you're gonna secede from Florida and make your own country.
If I'm starting my own country, I need to know where I'm starting my country at.
So if I'm gonna start my own country,
Right.
I'm gonna put it. I do feel like I want to be on the coast somewhere because that's how you get trade, right?
Yeah, shipping right there.
Here, back up a little bit. You just hold the microphone. Yeah. See, I have put you back there so you wouldn't block us, so we could all look at each other. So I do feel like you do need to be on the coast, or maybe be an island.
Ooh, yeah.
I could say there's probably you can buy an island. Did you know that?
I did.
You can buy an island.
Yeah,
Just be careful. Just be careful of who owned that island before you, maybe.
Right, yeah. I've looked into buying an island, and
Also, it's not a good look right now to buy islands, probably.
Right.
Probably not something we want to do. Let's give it maybe 5 years before anybody buys another island, just to be safe.
And frankly, I don't have the finances.
You're kidding.
It's a little weird, a guy who is part owner and creator of a podcast
Doesn't have enough money to buy an island.
doesn't have enough money
crazy.
to buy an island, but that's where I'm at.
That's crazy. If you would like to donate to Bobby's Island Fund, that already sounds creepy.
Yeah.
I will. So okay. So I would probably go. Part of me wants to go island. Part of me wants to go coastal city, because island would be nice because then you're on your own. However, you don't have a border to create allies with.
Right.
So like if we do, let's say we do like a coastal city in Florida. Let's say we take St. Augustine.
St. Augustine.
We
okay.
buy St. Augustine and make it a country. We make it Bobolopia-lanius. And what was your name? What was your country's name?
Croblob.
Croblob-lanius. And we create this country, and we would have to make friends with the United States. So we'd have to have a good relationship with the United States because we're going to border the United States. We're going to be right there.
Right.
Whereas if you're an island, you have no built-in structure of an ally, right? You don't have anybody that you're, working with or in the same boat with, kind of thing. You'd have to create an ally. So if you're close to the United States, we might choose the United States. But if not, then we'd have to go with whoever would want to trade with us.
Right. Yeah.
Definitely, fruit's going to be a good export if you can figure out to grow something on your island or in your city. So yeah, oranges or something like that would be good. Satsumas.
I know what mine would be.
What?
Goat milk.
Goat milk.
Goat milk.
Yeah. Daniel says goat milk. Danny's going to choose goat milk as his export. You're going to have to get goats then. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So goat milk.
Who's gonna milk the goats?
Me.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah.
All right, so Danny's going to create a country and milk goats. That's his entire plan.
I will say, huge fan of goat cheese.
I do like goat cheese. Do you
Goat
like
cheese.
goat cheese?
Yes.
Yeah, he likes goat cheese. I like goat cheese on pizza.
Oh yeah.
Goat
sounds
cheese,
good.
black olives, and sausage
Okay.
are very good. I like on pizza.
Let's stop the food talk. That's my fault. Okay,
Yeah,
everyone.
you
My
brought
fault.
up the cheese.
My fault. Yeah.
I do not know how goats taste, though.
They taste good.
Yeah,
I've
goats
eaten-
themselves.
I've-
You've eaten a
I've-
goat?
I've eaten a goat.
I've never had a goat. I've had like sheep and lamb.
We've had
In my
lamb.
country, you're not allowed to eat goats. You're supposed to milk
You
them.
just milk them. So it's like India. No, they eat goats in India, maybe.
They will eat goats.
But they milk
India.
goats in India.
Yeah.
And like India, people like a family will have a goat as a milking goat, like even that live in the city and stuff like that. That's where they get most of their milk because they don't eat or drink stuff from cows.
They will
In
drink
India.
drink from cows.
Will they drink milk?
Yes. Yes.
And cheese?
Yep. Absolutely. But they will not eat a cow.
They won't eat a cow though.
Right,
But they'll
right.
milk a cow?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought they didn't do dairy at all.
No.
I'm hungry.
They
Oh.
will absolutely do dairy.
Okay, so that's my thought. I want to have it be coastal or be an island. What would your national language be
Oh yeah.
in this
So-
country?
So that is a big one. I'm going to go with the language that I speak, which is going to be American English.
That
Which-
makes sense.
Yeah. I'm scared that if I choose something else, I'm not going to be able to communicate with anybody in my country.
That is probably true. That is probably a good move. However, I want another language just to have the ability to be seen more foreign. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
Like I'd probably do English as the official language, but have like English and I don't know, something else, maybe Spanish or something. English and Spanish as the official languages.
See, I'm gonna say no. I have to have English as the official language, but I'm going to go with the trick that Australia did and just start inventing words in an accent, so I have my own unique accent
go.
that people
Yeah.
love.
Yeah, there you
Like
go.
crikey.
Like crikeys.
Yeah. Like crikey or it's the only Australian word I can think of.
And then when I see animals, instead of like saying, oh, that kind of looks like a dog or a deer, I'm just going to make up random fun words.
Yeah, we're gonna
like
call animals something new for sure.
yeah, like a kookaburra
Yeah.
or or like a kangaroo or all those fun words that they have.
It's like, oh, there's an alligator. That's not an alligator. That's a toothy floppy top.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what they call. That's a Bob. What was it again? Bob. What's the name of your country?
Bobolopia.
That's a Bobolopian floppy toothy top.
Yeah.
That's not an alligator. That one's specifically from Bobolopia.
Yeah. Or oh no, watch out! That pointy face is coming at me. Yeah.
Yeah, that's something. Yeah, you definitely want to do something like that. You got to do something to seem foreign. You can't just be Canada.
Right. Yeah. I
You ever
mean,
been- okay, well, so let's talk about countries then. So, like, I've only ever been to, obviously, the United States.
United States. Yep.
Then we've got Canada,
Okay.
Mexico.
Mexico.
Hey, Packer, you got to be quiet, bud. We've got Canada, Mexico, and, like, the Caribbean.
Okay.
Or, like, I've been to, yeah, like, Caribbean island places. Well, I've also been to Belize.
I've been to Belize as well.
I've been to, like, Curacao down there. Like, that's technically South America.
You're saying nonsense. I don't know what this is.
You've been to Belize, too.
I don't know what that is.
You've been to Honduras, too.
Okay. Still don't know what that is.
They're island country. Well, Belize isn't an island, but Honduras is an island country.
Okay.
Also, the Bahamas.
Yeah.
You've been to the Bahamas?
I have.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I know what that is.
I've been to Aruba and Curacao, and what was the other one? Bermuda, maybe?
I mean it would be in the same.
Yeah, somewhere around
general-
there.
Yeah.
I did. So I've never like left the Western Hemisphere.
No. You've left You were in South America technically, so you've been on a different continent.
I've been on a different continent.
Yeah.
Because I've been to South America, but I've never left this side of the globe to the other one. Also, yeah, I've never left the northern hemisphere either.
Oh, you went
Yeah,
to South America.
South America is not. It wasn't past the equator though.
Okay.
The equator's in Ecuador. That's why it's called.
Yeah, I don't know where
Alexa, stop.
Honduras is.
The equator's still a bit further down, I think.
Okay.
I don't think I've been past. What was that?
I was trying to cough, but it came out as a burp.
Okay.
That has happened to me before, so congratulations.
All right. So Daniel, okay. Here's some questions I thought of. Okay, so those are the only countries I've been to. Mostly, any of the foreign ones have been Spanish speaking. I've been to some of those down there, Curacao and stuff are. They speak like 7 languages there. Some of them they're like Dutch and like
Yep.
French and Spanish or something like that. Some of them down there, but
If you get to the right South American countries, there's going to be some German enclaves too.
yeah. By the way, my brother-in-law.
Asks a question.
I will in a minute. Okay. My brother-in-law spent 2 years in Brazil, and he told us that he's like, yeah, there was this whole German village in Brazil. And he was so shocked by this. He's like, this was crazy that there was this German village. I was like, oh, how long have they been there? He's like, oh, a couple generations. I was like, oh, what, since the 1940s, let's say? And he's like, yeah, how'd you know? I was like, oh, okay. Like, they're all war criminals. That's what it is. That's the old Nazi dine and dash. That's what that is.
Hello, thank you for stopping by. Have you solved the world's problems yet? Like, I don't know, those pesky people.
Yeah, that is them escaping oppression, not escaping being oppressed, escaping being the oppressors.
Yes.
Like that's how there's German villages in South America because they didn't extradite them after World War II.
I would like to say that I would probably have a non-extradition country, not because I like Germans, but because I do not like the UN.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
But what if the United States? What if somebody comes to your country because they murdered somebody in the United States?
I'm good giving them back.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, we'll extradite those guys.
Yeah. I'm saying in general, other countries aren't going to tell us what to do, but we don't necessarily keep other people in our country.
Yeah, right. So I would say extradition. Now, we're going to be a small country, right? We're going to be this Babalopia or Elanius, or what was yours?
Crabsob.
Crablob.
I'm not sobbing. I'm just lobbing.
I would say it's a small country, so I would say extradition on a case-by-case basis.
Always case by case.
Tax fraud, you're welcome to stay.
Hey. You bring us cash and
tax fraud, as long as you can pay for your citizenship, you stay.
Yeah, we will extend that decision making out while those checks keep clearing.
Yeah, exactly. You murder somebody, we're sending you back.
Yeah, none of that.
In fact, if you murder somebody, we're sending you back, even if don't belong in that country.
Yeah,
you murder somebody in Babalopia, we're sending you back no matter what.
Right. You don't need to be within our borders.
Yes, there we go. And then, so it would be a case-by-case basis extradition. Now, one thing I would like to do that I've always wanted to do is to go to another country and say diplomatic immunity. So that's something you got to really. I'm going to definitely take advantage of diplomatic immunity at some point.
I don't know what that means either.
That means if you do something as, let's say you're the president of what's the name? Crablob. And in Crablob, it is not illegal to what's something that's illegal here that's not a big deal?
Going really fast without getting an accident.
Okay, so let's say you drive 90 miles an hour, and they arrest you because you drove too fast. You say, well, in Crablob, you can drive 90 miles an hour, and I am a diplomat. So now this doesn't apply to all citizens of Crablob. It only applies to diplomats. So let's say you're the...
I don't know what those are either.
Let's say you're the ambassador of Crablob. So you come to the United States and you live here so that you can represent Crablob to the government.
Okay.
So because you represent Crablob to the government, if you do something that's not necessarily illegal where you're from, and you do it here in the United States and it's illegal, then you could possibly Yeah, that one's it's always iffy, but like you can that's called diplomatic immunity, meaning you can't be arrested for it, or you can't be held responsible for something that you in your country is not illegal.
Okay.
Got it?
Yeah.
It has limits.
Yeah,
But-
there's definitely limits, but it's basically like saying, oh, we can't just arrest you because we don't like your country.
Right.
There's certain
Right.
laws in place to protect other people's countries' representatives.
Okay, so I did think of a series of questions. I was thinking 5 laws. We're going to do 2 sets of 5 laws. First question I'm going to ask, 5 laws of limiting. So 5 laws that you would want to have in your country that, like, don't do this laws. Like, don't kill people, don't something. But let's just leave the normal ones. Like, don't, obviously no murder, obviously no beating somebody up without provocation, that kind of stuff. Let's say, let's do something that you necessarily doesn't exist already. 5 laws of don't do this.
5 laws of don't do this.
And then the next section is going to be 5 laws of you should do this.
Okay.
Like, for instance, taxes are you have to pay you are compelled to pay taxes. So 5 laws of restriction and 5 laws of compulsion that you would have in your country. So I'll go first. First law of restriction, if you're selling something on TikTok, you're not allowed to tap your nails on it. That is illegal in my country.
I like that. That is a
Tapping your fingernails on something, you know what I mean? Like doing that when you're showing a product online, that's illegal in my country. If you do that in my country, it's a minimum of 20 years in prison.
Minimum. Gotcha.
Or you can work it off. We do have labor camps,
like where
for people like that.
Where people tap products to.
The labor camp would be you would have to do free product reviews without tapping, without incident, for a specific period of time, or you can go to prison, whichever one you feel better about. So that's restriction law number 1. Daniel, do you have an idea for a restriction law? What do you want people to not do in your country? Bobby?
Okay. The one thing that people are not allowed to do in my country, 100% not allowed to do it, and I've got to think about the proper way to word this, is you're not allowed to put high fructose corn syrup into things.
No high fructose corn syrup?
No high fructose.
I thought corn was good for you.
Corn is good for you. Yeah. So I'm
just stick to regular sugar, right?
Yeah, well, so that's the thing. Like I hate saying don't. I think if you have to put high fructose corn syrup in something, you have to have a big warning label for it.
Possibly.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of high fructose corn syrup anyway. But it is kind of in everything in our country, isn't it?
It is. Yeah.
It is kind of in everything. But see, why isn't it in everything? Is it in everything because it's the easiest thing to do? Or is it in everything because it is the cheapest thing to do? Or like, why don't we use sugar anymore? Like, why do we use high fructose corn syrup instead of cane sugar? By the way, cane sugar
is so good.
Is so much better. Have you ever had like the Mexican Coke? You've had Mexican Coke,
Yep.
right? Made with cane sugar instead of high fructose corn syrup.
We're talking Coca-Cola.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. We're talking Mexican Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
Is delicious. It's great. It's much better. It's way better. Now, part of that is whenever I get it, I don't even know if they have it in any other form. It's always in a glass bottle when I get it. Is it just always that way in Mexico?
I think that's how they sell it.
Is that how they sell it?
States.
Oh, in the United States.
Right.
I will say glass bottle things taste better to me.
Yep.
And I think it's because they don't put additives in it to counteract the metallic taste, which they do sometimes with canned products.
Yep.
So I will say glass bottle things in general taste better. So that's already going for it. But the cane sugar instead of high fructose corn syrup, so much better.
So I think I just changed the rule. Like the government is not going to subsidize high fructose corn syrup.
There we go. Yeah.
That's it. 'Cause
So people are allowed to use it if they want to.
Right,
but there's not going to be a push from the government
Right.
to say we need to use high fructose, which is what happened in this country.
Right.
Is the government pushed for high fructose corn syrup at a time when we needed to get rid of corn. Right. Like that's basically what it was, right? We had so much corn, we need to figure out things to do with it. So
That's my basic understanding. And so your rules are the toughest ones here because I'm very, very liberty minded. Like I hate saying
you hate saying you can't do this, right?
Yeah.
Hey, Lewis, will you check and make sure it's still recording? Okay, because I just got a phone call and I want to make sure I didn't hang it up. I stopped the recording. Yes, I agree. That is a tough question. Is like what I know you are big on not limiting people and stuff like that. Now we're murder definitely illegal.
Murder, stealing,
assault definitely illegal. Stealing definitely illegal.
Yeah, if it's not yours, don't take it.
Yeah, if it's not yours, don't take it. Stuff like that. I believe in a good court system, so we're gonna have some sort of trial system.
Yep.
I don't know if we'll do jury or whatever because we don't want it, because there might only be 12 people on the whole country, so we don't. I don't know about a jury selection.
Very true. Yeah.
Or maybe we do the whole country as a consensus. Like we all have to agree on a punishment, that kind of thing. I don't know. We'd have some sort of trial system. There's not going to just be like accusations and punishment.
Right. Yep.
Daniel, do you have a law you want to think of? We gave you all that time to think of a law. Any law of restriction? No? You're going to have no laws in your country.
No, I'm going to have laws when I think of them.
Okay. Let us know when you think of a law. Now, what about a law of compulsion?
A law of compulsion. Okay. I would like to take a moment to say I think Congress should do more of what Daniel's doing, which is thinking and just like, hey, exactly. I don't have anything. I'm not going to put it forward.
Yeah, Daniel's doing it right. Yeah.
A law of compulsion. I hate forcing things on. So here's what it is. One day a year, you have to donate time and effort to a charity.
There we go. That's good.
Yep.
Compulsive community service. Compulsive community service.
Community service.
That's a good one.
Yeah, and it's going to be if it's individually based, it's your way. However you do it, but you do need to dedicate a day to other people.
Compulsive community service.
I think that's
important. You have to dedicate at least one day a year to helping other people.
Yep.
Whether it be a charity or building a road or building a library, something like that. Something that is going to help other people or the public.
Right. Yep. Go help your neighbors do like yard work because they can't do it themselves. Something.
Yes. Yeah. That sounds good. Mine would be you have to listen to my stand-up comedy. That would be my compulsion.
I love that.
You have to attend my annual special that I'm going to tape for the entire country. You have to attend, or we're going to deport you.
Yeah. That is probably what people would do for my charity. Would be listening to
that's
my
their
stand-up.
day of charity is
like,
listening to your
let's
stand-up.
listen to Bobby stand-up.
That's my government service day.
It's how I get audience choice every year.
Yeah. Daniel, think of anything yet? All right, we'll come back to you.
I've got one. The middle child always gets extra allowance.
Oh, that's interesting.
I'm a middle child.
What? And it kind of worked out that I said it that way? That's insane.
Yeah, how do you feel about that, Daniel? The middle child always gets extra allowance. This is an audio format. You have to talk. You can't just nod your head. Yes. Let me pull up. My phone fell.
That's what that noise was.
Yeah, that's what that noise was. My phone fell. But I had some notes written down on my phone that I wanted to bring up about what I would do with my country.
I would like to say that one of my favorite forms of government is based simply on the name, which is Oriental despotism.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's fun for me because every year when I was in college, I spent 5 years in college, which is a little bit more than normal. But we'd have like the student government elections, and I don't know who did it. It happened every year I was there. People would put up signs and do chalk things on the sidewalks of the school, asking to vote one random guy. His name was Bob, I think Fisher or Bob Fish, as Oriental despot. Like, vote Bob Fish, Oriental despot. And our school would just be littered with that for the entire student. Like who is this guy, and why do we want him?
And what does this position do? Like, what?
Like we want him to be our leader, I guess. Yeah.
Here is something I thought of a thing I want to exclude in my country. Couples pranks; those are illegal. Ooh. But only if you can prank each other.
Okay.
In the no, I can't control the privacy of your own home. But the minute you film that prank and put it online, then that's illegal. You're not allowed to publicly prank your spouse.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's I don't know if I would hang out in your country with that rule.
I don't know. I know that's gonna be controversial, but I am sick of do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Couples pranks online, and it always seems to be they're always like rich couples too. They're always like in a nice house, and they're not even pranks. They're just like,
I'm gonna shoot you with this Nerf gun.
They're just making a mess most of the time, and then it's like, what was the point of that prank? Like, I'm just sick of it. So no couples pranks. You're not allowed to record and broadcast couples pranks in the country of Elanius.
And if you do it, you're out.
Yeah. We might deport you, or we might make you do community service.
And frankly, if you're getting deported from Elanius, we don't want you in Babalopia.
Yeah. So that's something. There was another one too. I had written down.
I do have to ask this question though. Do you have any ongoing prank wars with your wife? No, I do.
You do?
I do.
What kind of pranks?
Which this is probably my all-time favorite thing because it's just so innocuous. We've got a tiny little fake spider.
And,
And we hide it.
That's nice.
Around each other's stuff all the time. And the best one I did, my wife has a copy of like People magazine. She keeps by the bathtub, stuff like that. She reads in the restroom, and I hid the spider towards the back of that, so she opened it up and it fell out while she was in the restroom, and she freaked out, and it was fantastic. Best prank I've ever done.
That's great, and that's loving, and that's wonderful. But you didn't have to record it, right? You didn't have to record it and put it online for everyone else.
And I did not.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's fine. Yeah. I don't have a problem with that. And I've done stuff like that in the past. However, my wife is not a big prank person. My wife does not like pranks. In fact, I had to catch myself like saying things. I like to say terrible things because I think it's funny. You know what I mean? I have that like, okay, so like when our first 3 years of our marriage, she would say, as I left the house, she would say, "Bye, love you, drive safe." That's what she would say. Or I don't know when she started saying it in our marriage.
You already told me about this.
Whatever it was like for about 3 years, she would say, "Bye, love you, drive safe." And I would say, "We'll see." I'd say, "We'll see," as I left. Like maybe I'll drive safe, maybe, whatever. She thought it was funny. I thought she thought it was endearing. Turns out she hated it. For 3 years, every time I said it, in her head, she's like, "Yeah, I'll cut your brakes, and then we'll see if you drive safe." Like that. Like she was like mad. She would get like mad every time I left, and I never knew that because I would be leaving then. Till finally she told me, and I was like, okay, I guess I can't say that anymore. But it's like, so my wife does not like being messed with. Like my wife doesn't like that. I don't know. We've never really gotten into the couples pranks.
Right. Yeah. Hey, I get it. There are definitely certain things that my wife and I don't see eye to eye on, just like little things like that. And I actually think that's one of the beautiful things about marriage, because it makes me step back and say, whoa, hold on, what's happening here?
Yeah, for sure.
And then also,
that's like the point of it.
Yeah, what's wrong with you?
Yeah. I know. I like that. That's the thing. It's like every time. Like I always want to say terrible. You know what? I always want to. That's the first thing that comes to my head. I have to filter it before I say it sometimes.
Yep.
Yeah. But I don't know why. And I do it to my kids all the time. I say stuff like that to my kids all the time to mess with them.
Oh yeah, I do that all the time too. And I have to catch myself, especially after coming off a weekend of comedy or a show. Like, oh hey,
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
You're in joke mode and you want to just joke with everybody. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Daniel, have you thought of any laws yet?
No.
All right.
But one time I remember when you were doing what you were just talking about to me was like, so I said like, I'm so excited for the cruise Grandma planned for us because that's the kind of stuff she does. And then you said, we're not going on the cruise. She canceled it. We all have COVID.
And you were not happy about that.
No.
Yeah, that's the thing. I always think it's gonna be funny when I say it, and then then they get mad, and then I gotta say, I'm just kidding.
yeah. I that's a big dad thing too.
Yeah, I feel like that's a dad thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely a dad thing. My dad would say dumb stuff like that all the time. All right, any other laws you might have in your country?
Aside from the compulsion for charity once a year, I also think it is an important thing to establish the national food. And yes, I'm bringing
like
it back
national
to food.
cuisine. Yeah,
I'm bringing it back, but
Yeah.
I think this is an important thing. It's an identity thing.
Yeah.
And so, what is going to be the national food of Elanius?
So Elanius, I feel like the national food is going to be our national food is going to be garbage food.
Garbage
Like not garbage food, just like like bologna will be like a national food. You know what I mean? Like
I love me some bologna.
Yeah.
Bologna's fantastic.
bologna will be definitely involved in our national food. Tortillas.
Ooh, yeah, okay.
Like our culture as a cuisine in Elanius will be stuff made in tortillas. You're gonna have a bologna taco. You're gonna have a chicken wrap. You're gonna have a steak taco. You're gonna have a ice cream taco instead of an ice cream sandwich. Everything is gonna be tortilla based in our country.
I've got a huge...
And I realize that we're stealing from the Mexicans.
Right.
That's
So
on
what
this
I was
one.
thinking.
We're stealing from the Mexicans, but everything is going to be based in tortilla.
what if somebody's like, hey, I'm going to go low carb. I want to have bologna instead of my tortilla. So they're just wrapping everything up in
That's fine. If
in
you want to
bologna.
use the bologna as the tortilla, that's fine too. As long as you're using a tortilla, then it's part of the... You can eat whatever you want, but
Right.
the Elanius culture is stuff in tortillas.
Stuffed in
Peanut butter
tortillas.
tortillas. Right now, like, my favorite out-of-town food, when I say that, my favorite food when the family's out of town and I'm alone
Right.
is
Peanut butter roll-ups.
peanut butter tortillas and bologna tortillas. Like, I make bologna sandwiches, but I put them in a tortilla.
That's fantastic.
Tortilla to me is far superior to bread. You don't agree?
It depends. Like, I like tortilla, but a fresh baked bread is phenomenal.
Fresh baked bread is very good. But if I have the choice between... Now, I like a good sandwich. Don't get me wrong. I'll eat a good sub. I like a good sub. But there's something about a tortilla, especially if it's much harder for the tortilla to be bad. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like you get bread and like you could get a dry loaf, or whatever, or like you could get a loaf that goes stale too fast or whatever, and then it's no good, and then or it's like a couple days ago I got a loaf of bread. I just bought this loaf of bread and it was already too dry, so I was like, this is no good. So I put it in a tortilla. It's like the tortilla just has a longer shelf life. I don't know why. They just like stay moist longer, and you can revive a tortilla. It's harder to revive a piece of bread.
Yeah.
You could
Outside of French toast, you're
yeah.
right.
Like the best thing you can do with stale bread is maybe toast it, maybe. But if you don't want toast, then you're out of luck. You can revive a stale tortilla and make it just like it was before. You can't do that with bread. So
Okay.
that's what I'm saying. Tortillas are superior to bread.
Yeah, that is definitely a strong choice.
So I say that's our culture. Arlenius cuisine, everything's made in a tortilla. You get a
Making me
pizza,
want-
it's coming in a tortilla. You get a chicken salad, it's coming. See, it already works. Like we're already doing all that stuff with tortillas.
Right,
Tortillas are so versatile, it's already in our lives.
You don't even need plates. It comes on a
You
tortilla.
don't even need a plate. It comes on a tortilla. Pizza, it's already halfway there. You're already halfway there with a pizza.
Right, yeah.
It's already a tortilla. A
I
pizza.
like it.
By the way, speaking of wraps, there is a restaurant on 210 in St. John's County. So, like, where if you go across the bridge and then you go down 210.
Right.
We used to stop there because that used to be our route to the airport. Not the airport. That's not what I'm saying. Our route to Orlando. That used to be our route to Orlando. We used to drive down 210 on that road.
Right.
There was this place called Jenks Pizza. And if you got a wrap, the wrap came in a pizza dough. Like, they just took a pizza. Instead of making a pizza with it, they cooked the dough.
Right.
And then made your wrap with it.
Oh, that's awesome.
It was so good. We used to get the chicken Caesar wrap or the chicken, we used to get like a blackened chicken wrap. That was really good. And it's just like, it was like blackened chicken with like ranch and like tomatoes and a handful of mozzarella. Like, it was so good.
Oh, that sounds.
And you could get a medium or a large, and the medium was made with a medium crust, and then the large was made with a large crust. And it was the best. I think they still exist. I haven't had one in a while, but best wraps I've ever had.
That sounds amazing.
So we're already halfway. We're already halfway to eating everything on a wrap anyway. Eating everything on a tortilla anyway. We're already to that. So that's what I'm saying. Elenius cuisine, we're eating it on tortillas.
Nice.
What do you think? What do you think your country's cuisine would be like?
A lot of goat stuff,
A lot of goat stuff,
but not goat meat.
Not goat meat.
Goat meat's illegal.
Just a lot of stuff made with goat milk.
Okay.
Eating goats is my first law. That's illegal.
It's illegal to eat a goat in Cropopolis. What was it called?
Crab lob.
Croblob. It's illegal to eat a goat in Croblob.
Good thing I've got diplomatic immunity.
I don't know what that means.
We just explained it to you.
I'm going to be prosecuted, apparently.
Yeah, so that's the only law, is you can't eat a goat in Croblob. Yes, Packer?
Tomorrow, can I be in the podcast?
You can be on the next podcast whenever we record it, okay? All right, well, I think that about covers our countries. So name of your country?
Babalopia.
Crab lob.
Elenius. So you'd have a Miss Babalopia pageant,
Yes.
and you'd have a Miss Croblob pageant.
I don't know what that means.
So it doesn't matter. I was about to explain it, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Actually, our miscellaneous pageant would just be a bunch of random people, like because it's miscellaneous.
I
It's
think
just-
I think you wouldn't even announce.
we wouldn't even announce.
the pageant.
Yeah,
you would
it'd
just
just be-
announce the winner.
It's like our miscellaneous this year is, and then we just pick a name. We just pick a name out of a hat. Like, oh, you're the miscellaneous this year. It's like I've won 3 years in a row, and it's like I don't know how that happened.
Yeah.
How
Random.
about for every day of service you get a name? You get in the ballot.
Okay.
For every day of service you get in the ballot for the miscellaneous pageant.
Okay.
And then you get chosen to be miscellaneous. And it could be man or woman, it doesn't matter. The miscellaneous pageant has nothing to do with actually being a miss.
True.
It's just about random. It's just about the remainder random. The miscellaneous.
I like it.
All our citizens will be miscellaneous.
Mean?
Miscellaneous means like you don't really have a category for it. It's like, oh, this is just miscellaneous stuff. There's a bunch of miscellaneous stuff on that couch. It doesn't necessarily all go to one place. All right.
That makes sense.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to our podcast. I'm Joey Nickel.
I'm Bobby Parker.
I'm Danny Nickel.
Today is Start Your Own Country Day. See ya tomorrow.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
I'll press the button.
I'm going to make a tortilla.